It had been days since I had truly seen her, not just in body, but in spirit. She had been in the same house, yet entirely unreachable. Her silence was suffocating, her presence distant, like a ghost drifting through a place that once felt like home. I tried to reach her, to understand what had driven her away, but every door was closed. Calls went unanswered, texts ignored, and each attempt I made was met with cold detachment. I spent those days alone with my thoughts, replaying every argument, every slight, every small hint I might have missed. Memories of our early years, laughter, shared secrets, warm touches, felt almost unreal now, a stark contrast to the hollow distance that had taken root between us. Each hour deepened the void, and I felt the crushing weight of relationship slipping from my grasp. Then she returned. She walked through the door with her usual grace, moving as though nothing had happened. The suitcase in her hand was heavy, but nothing compared to the invisible burden she carried. The days of absence, the silent treatment, the cold shoulder. She expected something from me. A smile, a hug, maybe even laughter, as if her days of ignoring me had never occurred. I didn't respond right away. I let her settle, let her believe she had regained control, that her absence had gone unnoticed, that I would welcome her with open arms. But I was no longer the same man who had watched her walk away in silence. Something inside me had shifted over those days, a clarity, a focus, a resolve I hadn't felt before. She noticed the intensity in my eyes, that quiet force that had always held her attention, even though she had ignored it for days. "Hey," she said lightly, trying for casualness, but her voice faltered. I said nothing, simply waited. My mind replayed every moment of her absence, every unanswered message, every cold night spent wondering why she had pulled away. Finally, I spoke, my voice calm but weighted with all the emotions I had bottled up. Why now? The question wasn't just about her return. It was about the days she had chosen to ignore me, the emotional distance she had imposed, the trust she had fractured. It was simple, yet carried the full weight of betrayal, hurt, and the desperate need for answers that had kept me awake for nights. Her eyes widened. Why now? I repeated, letting silence stretch long enough for her to feel the weight of those words. She opened her mouth, then closed it again, searching for excuses, lies, anything to soften the impact of her absence. But no words could erase the days she had vanished, leaving me alone in our home, questioning everything. I just needed some space, she said at last, voice trembling. I wasn't thinking about me. I echoed slowly, disbelief threading through my tone. 3 whole days. Every text, every call, every moment waiting by the door went unanswered. You weren't thinking about me. Her shoulders slumped, guilt flickering across her face. Tentatively, she stepped closer, as if proximity could undo the hurt. I just needed to clear my head, she whispered. But at what cost? I asked, voice low but unwavering. Do you realize what it feels like to be ignored? To be treated as though you don't exist, as though your presence, your love, your patience mean nothing? Tears fell freely now, and I saw panic in her eyes. She reached out to touch me, to apologize, but I didn't move. I let her feel the gravity of her choices. This isn't just about needing space, I continued. It's about the pattern. The cold dinners, the side glances, the excuses, the absence. You've been distant for weeks, and these days of ignoring me are just the latest chapter. I could see realization dawning on her, understanding that her absence had consequences, that her emotional distance had fractured the foundation of everything we'd built. She wanted to argue, explain, beg for forgiveness, but I stayed calm. This wasn't about revenge. It was about clarity, truth, and the painful acknowledgement that some gaps can't be bridged without honesty and accountability. I took a deep breath, leaning back, letting my words hang in the room like weighty silence. If we are to move forward, if we are to rebuild trust, you need to answer me honestly. Why now? Why come back after leaving me to wonder, to hurt, to question everything we have? Her lips quivered. She wanted to say something profound, to convince me that love alone could fix what had been broken. But deep down, she knew words weren't enough. The days of absence had already left their mark, and now the truths needed facing. She sat across from me, silent, gaze dropping to the floor. I could see the struggle in her eyes. Guilt, fear, and a desperate wish that everything could return to how it once was. But some moments cannot be undone. The 3 days she chose to ignore me were not just a lapse. They mirrored years of unspoken frustrations, unmet needs, and growing emotional distance. I took a steadying breath. "Claire," I said softly, firmly, "it's not just about the days you walked away. It's about what those days represent. They show how little you consider my feelings, my presence, my love. And I can't pretend that doesn't matter." Her shoulders shook as she spoke, tears streaming. "James, I didn't realize." "You didn't realize?" I interrupted gently. "You didn't realize that love isn't just being physically present. That trust, respect, and consideration matter more than a casual return after days of absence." She nodded, choking back sobs. I saw sincerity in her remorse. But remorse alone could not erase the hurt. Love is action, not intention, and her absence had echoed in every quiet night, every unanswered message that piled like stones on my chest. Over the next few days, I made choices for my own heart. I needed space to process, to rebuild myself outside the constant anxiety of her unpredictability. I reached out to friends, revisited old routines, and allowed myself to grieve the relationship I thought I had. Claire tried to reconnect, to explain, to show she cared, but I remained cautious. Trust, once fractured, cannot be rebuilt overnight. I realized that some actions, some absences, carry weight far beyond their immediate moment. Her choice to ignore me wasn't merely a mistake. It reflected the growing divide between us, a gap words alone could not repair. And in that realization, I found clarity. I could no longer live in a house where my heart was disregarded, my love taken for granted, my patience tested beyond its limits. When we finally spoke, I didn't yell, demand, or plead. I looked into her eyes and said what I've been holding in for days. I need to know that my presence matters. If it doesn't, then nothing we have can survive. And right now I don't feel it. Silence followed. Not the emptiness of misunderstanding, but the heavy weight of truth. For the first time in days, I felt a strange peace, a recognition that sometimes the bravest choice isn't reconciliation. It's protecting your heart, knowing when to step away, even from someone you love.